daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
And a very warm welcome to the Daily Premier League podcast on the Tuesday, the 2nd of September. It feels like the day after the night before. There was a lot happening last night. We brought a lot of that to you. We had our crossover episode where we were crossing over, if you like, from one side of the transfer window deadline to the other. And that was a very interesting time. The curtain came down on a summer transfer window. And what a transfer window that was. Record signings, record expenditure, and a whole load of player power. That is something that I think we're going to see a great deal more of. Liverpool spent £415 million on recruiting some incredible talent to Anfield. And just to reiterate, the Premier League dwarfs all the other leagues in terms of expenditure, reinforcing our belief that it's the greatest club league in the world by a very wide margin. But everything didn't all go according to plan, and we'll talk about a couple of things that were expected to go through that didn't go through a little bit later in the programme. My name's Ken Davis. You'll probably know that by now if you're a daily listener. A very warm welcome to you if you do make this a part of your daily listening routine. You're very welcome to the Daily Premier League podcast. Nick's away doing some worky type stuff this afternoon. Good luck to him on that. So I'm flying solo today. So Premier League clubs have spent more than £3 billion this summer. That's the biggest sum they've ever spent. And it smashes the previous record. And the previous record, by the way, was 2023. It wasn't last year. Last year, there was a dip in expenditure, but it beats the previous record of 2023 by £700 million. It's an immense figure. So what we're going to do in this podcast is have a look at some of the major deals that were done, both in terms of where players were bought and sold, and maybe some of the ones which didn't necessarily make the headlines. Everybody knows about the Isaac situation. Everybody and his dog has been talking about that for time immemorial, but there's a few other deals that went through that maybe didn't, if you like, get the headlines of the Isaac deal, but certainly are going to be interesting in relation to the Premier League going forward. What I also want to do is maybe have a look in the second part at some of the loan moves that have taken place. They don't always get the highlights that the permanent deals do, but they're pretty interesting. Some incredibly interesting talent, if you like, has been brought into the Premier League, and it's going to be very interesting to see how those guys go on. Now, as you know, in football, it pays to get your team selection right. And here at Global Sports Podcast Network, which of course the Daily Premier League podcast is very much a big part of, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery partner. There was only one winner in that competition, and that was Zencastr. Zencastr make it easy to bring your vision to life and to share it with your audience. It's got 4K video recording, it's got easy AI editing tools, and it's got the very best distribution tools all in one place. So if you've got a story to tell it with Zencastr, and you can check the show notes for more details.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Well, there's a couple of deals that I wanted to point out as being pretty significant, but maybe gone under the radar a little bit. Firstly, and maybe because some of the teams involved here are a little less glamorous than Liverpool and Arsenal and Man U and Man City. But first one I'm going to point out is Fulham. They've spent £34.6 million, clearly a club record, for Kevin from Schalke Donetsk, Brazilian. As the name kind of suggests, in the sense of he's got one name. Now, it's Kevin Santos Lopes de Macedo. That's his official name, so let's call him Kevin. But I have to say, and just as an aside on this, and forgive me for this, but I want to say it anyway, I've got a thing about footballers with one name. They're never great. Pele aside, we put Pele to one side. Jorginho, okay, we'll put him to one side. But Kevin, if you're gonna have a name, a glamorous name, if you're Brazilian, don't choose Kevin. I mean, what's next? Arsenal spending £50 million on Nigel. or Everton breaking the bank by signing Rodney. I mean, I don't know. But Kevin has just got not great connotations for football. Like, imagine, give it to Kevin. This sounds like we're in the playground. Anyway, Fulham spent £35 million on him, so it must be pretty good. He's a winger from Brazil, but latterly with Shakhtar Donetsk. So good luck to Fulham, and good luck to Kevin. Secondly, Sunderland rounded off a summer of considerable expenditure. They spent more than Manchester City, by the way, in the summer. That says something. They've got clearly ambitious ambitions to stay in the Premier League, and good luck to them. They've got off to a great start. And they've bought 3 key players in. Brian Brobby, striker, 23, from Ajax. 35 goals in 92 games. Pretty good return in the Eredivisie. And he's a powerful striker who is going to bring a great deal of... he's speedy, he's powerful, he's going to be bringing a great deal of energy, I think, to Sunderland, just what they need. They've also picked up Bertrand Traoré, former Chelsea and Aston Villa player, 29, 6 goals in 33, again from Ajax. So they've done a couple of deals with Ajax, and they've also bought on loan Lucharel Giestruida, I would imagine, from RB Leipzig, right back, and 25 years of age. So Sunderland have done some good business on the last day of the transfer window, as have Nottingham Forest, bringing Delaney Bakwe from Strasbourg, winger, 23 years of age, and a left back. A left back we all know because he's played for Arsenal for so many times. Alexander Zinchenko, very, very capable defender. So they've done good business there. Zinchenko is only 28. I pictured him being maybe 30, 31, even 32. So looks like Forest have done some very good business there with Zinchenko. They've obviously strengthened an already very strong team. Newcastle, of course, they brought over the much-trailed Yohan Wissa, £55 million from Brentford, 28 years of age. Very publicised relationship breakdown with Brentford. Clearly, he felt there was a promise that he could go to another club. He's exercised his right to remind everybody and his dog about that promise. And just like the Isak situation, it's actually worked out well for him. Player power seems to have done its job. He's got the move he wanted. So he's joined Newcastle for £55 million. The other one of note maybe is Aston Villa. Aston Villa started very badly, as we all know, in the Premier League so far. Victor Lindelof, ex-Manchester United, has joined them on a free transfer. So good business again for Villa. Lindelof's a good player. I think anybody who's playing in the Man United team at the time Lindelof was under a great deal of pressure. So good work from Villa. I think Lindelof will work out very well for them. Now, the big surprise was the deal that didn't materialise, and that was the Mark Gahey deal to Liverpool. When we recorded the podcast last night, at the point, if you like, of the transfer deadline, everybody everything there seemed to be signed off pretty neatly. I think Liverpool had sent the forms in. It all looked like it was tied up with a bow until Palace, who couldn't identify a replacement, and we'll talk a little bit about who that replacement might have been. That didn't work out, and Palace then decided not to facilitate the move. Maybe watch this space on this, though. I'd be very surprised that in the January transfer window, Liverpool aren't back in for Mark Gahey. Mark Gahey is a talent. He's a relatively, certainly if the reports of the transfer fee to Liverpool were anything to go by, a relatively undervalued talent because of the state of his contract with Palace. I think definitely Liverpool will be back in there for to see if they can actually, once Palace, if you like, have got a replacement, maybe in January, I think the Gahey move will then happen. Certainly Liverpool need to strengthen its central defence. We know they are susceptible to that, and I think they'd identified someone they felt that could really help. There'll be a few long faces on Merseyside that they weren't able to land Gahey. And before we get on to the loan deals which are done, there's some very interesting ones to take you through there. A reminder that Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalized supplements, because your body is unique. And because without knowing exactly what your body needs, taking off-the-shelf supplements can mean that you're probably not getting enough of the nutrients you do need and maybe too many of the ones you don't. So Bioniq provides 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs. No guessing, exactly at the right level. So click on the show notes. If you use the code GSPN 2025, you'll get 40% off your first order.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Right. Well, what we'll do, I think, in the course of the second half of this podcast, we'll take you through a quick whiz through some of the loan moves that have been made in the course of the last 24 hours. And some interesting ones here, some players that will be familiar to us, some players that aren't familiar to us. That's all part of the fun and excitement of the Premier League. First one I want to draw your attention to is Reiss Nelson. He's gone from Arsenal to Brentford, winger. We know him from Arsenal, 25 years of age. Last year, he was at Fulham, played well for Fulham. He's made 61 Premier League appearances, so he's very, very familiar with the territory. Fulham were interested, but Brentford beat them to it. Brentford needed to beat them to it because they've had a pretty woeful transfer window so far. They've lost an awful lot of talent, and they lost their manager, of course. But they brought in Reiss Nelson from Arsenal. The second one to point out, West Ham, another struggling team. Struggling until they managed a very, very comfortable win at the weekend. They brought in Igor Julio, 27 years of age, defender from Brighton. This has connotations with the Mark Gahey issue with Liverpool because Julio was considered a replacement for Gahey by Palace. But then when Julio opted to join West Ham, that's the reason that the Gahey move to Liverpool fell through, because he was supposed to go to Palace in this big plan, but he opted for West Ham, and therefore Palace didn't have a replacement. Therefore, they needed to keep hold of Gahey. Therefore, the Liverpool deal collapsed. Julius made 37 appearances for Brighton after joining from Fiorentina. So West Ham have got someone who knows their way around the pitch. West Ham need that. But that's a good bit of business for West Ham. Igor Julio, 27, joining them. Aston Villa were busy in the loan market. They brought in two players which, by anybody's standards, I think are going to improve them. Villa have had a horrible start to the season. They needed to reignite their spark. They were a great team last year. Everybody was expecting them to kick on during this season. It's been a very difficult start. They're definitely going to have to regroup through the international break. To help them do that, there's two players that have been brought in, which we want to comment on. Harvey Elliott, 22 years of age. We know all about Elliott in terms of his abilities from Liverpool. He's on a loan with an obligation to buy if that goes well during the course of this season. And Jordan Sancho from Man United, trying to resurrect his career. 25 years of age now, Jordan Sancho. He's obviously a forward. We know him well. He turned down a move to Roma recently. And Villa are going to be paying 80% of Sancho's wages. And Sancho's wages are not cheap. £200,000 a week. So with Villa paying 80% of his wages and there being a loan fee as well, the good news for Manchester United is that pretty much the whole of Jordan Sancho's wage bill is being covered by this deal. He joined United, remember, 4 years ago now. It seems that time has flown, in 2021 from Borussia Dortmund for £73 million. £73 million 4 years ago. So whack some inflation on that. You'll get an idea of what Jordan Sancho was being valued at in comparison to other players. Excuse me, back in 2021. Really hasn't worked out for Sancho at Manchester United. Clearly, there's a breakdown in terms of trust and confidence, probably on both sides. Played for Manchester United. That shirt is a very heavy shirt to wear. Just hasn't worked out for him. Maybe the move to Villa will be the spark in his career, which is absolutely needed. We wish him well. A couple more to talk about, or 5 or 6 more to talk about, actually. Everton have picked up Merlin Rowe, central midfielder from Freiburg in Germany, with an obligation to buy for £17.3 million in 2026. David Moyes likes him a lot, describes him as energetic, athletic, going to bring a different dimension to Everton's midfield, got a bit of pace, got a bit of strength, got a bit of energy. He's going to be a real box-to-box player. So they've picked up Merlin Rowe from Freiburg. Fulham have been busy. They bought in on a season-long loan with an option to buy Samuel Chukwueze. 8 goals in 70 games for AC Milan. So he's been playing in Serie A, Nigerian international, 26 years of age. Great things expected from him. Fulham have done some good business there. And equally, Tottenham, who we haven't really talked about much in terms of the all the trades and transfers that have been happening throughout the transfer window. They've brought in Randall Colomwani from Paris Saint-Germain on a season-long loan, 26, striker. He was on loan at Juventus in Serie A last season, the second half of last season. He scored 8 goals in 16, so he clearly knows where the goals is. 31 caps for France. They don't give those away. So he's clearly a decent player. So Randall Colomwani, I think, is going to be someone that Spurs are going to be looking at to give them some cutting edge up front. And they still need that because they're a bit weak there. I think everyone would agree. Arsenal have brought in Piero Hincapié. Now, we covered Hincapié when we did the Road to the World Cup Ecuadorian episode. Ecuador is some team. If you want a good outside bet for the World Cup, have a look at Ecuador. They're a good side. And he's 23, Piero Hincapié. He was at Bayer Leverkusen, £45 million option if they want to buy him at the end of the summer. But they've got him on loan, Arsenal have. He's had 46 appearances for Ecuador, who are a decent team. So that looks like a good bit of business for Arsenal. Burnley, we haven't mentioned Burnley much in this transfer window. Florentino Luis from Benfica, midfielder, 26 years of age, £20 million option at the end of the season if they want to exercise that option. But he's going to give them a bit more solidity in the midfield. He's very excited to be joining the Premier League. Who wouldn't? Describes it as the best league in the world. Burnley have got a good one there. Chelsea. A couple of things to mention. Finally, Chelsea have brought in Facundo Buonanotte, Argentinian, who came from Brighton, £2 million loan fee. Leeds are interested on a permanent deal. Buonanotte had an excellent season for Leicester in their relegation season. Goals, assists, really impressive season. I'm not at all surprised that Buonanotte went somewhere. I think Chelsea have done some good business there. I think it would have been a fantastic signing for Leeds. Just wonder whether Buonanotte is going to get enough playing time at Chelsea, but he's a talented player and he's only 20 years of age. So he's on loan. He's not a permanent move, but it's good to see Buonanotte get back in the Premier League. I'm pleased about that. And finally, Bournemouth. Alex Jimenez, fullback, 20, Spanish youth international. If Bournemouth want to make this permanent, it's going to cost them £16.5 million. And in fact, if he makes 18 Premier League starts, Bournemouth have got to make it permanent because that's the nature of the deal. So there's some loan moves we thought it might be a good idea to bring you up to speed with. And that's kind of it. That's kind of it today. Thank you for listening to the Daily Premier League podcast. It's been me alone today. It's been one of those days, but we wanted to make sure we brought you all the latest news, and I think we have. And thanks for listening to the Daily Premier League podcast. We hope you make tuning into this every day the kind of first thing that you do. You're going to find your latest news and views and analysis from the best club team in the world. If you want to get in contact with us, and please do, because we do look through these and we're going to be having a post-bag episode during the course of next week, you can reach us at dailypremierleaguepodcast@gmail.com. So that's it. It's been an absolutely fascinating transfer window. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of it. We've certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. We'll be back with more from the Daily Premier League podcast tomorrow. But one bit of advice. It's probably time to use your wild card in the fantasy football leagues. There's some fresh faces in the Premier League. It's going to look very different when we all come back after the international break. And personally, I can't wait. Good night.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.